Assalamu alaikum. Sulaiman Rahim here. Messenger of the Covenant. Break of the 7 seals. Critical Analytics. October 25th, I believe. We're going to be covering today excuse me, the master plan. The master plan. War Talk, brothers and sisters. Another session of War Talk. We're going to talk about the master plan. Where's the master plan? It's a plan for your destruction, for the stealing of your inheritance. As it said, the nations will be gathered together to destroy you, to make the name of Israel be no more remembered. War Talk. We are at war, brothers and sisters, and that's a fact that most of you are totally unaware of, because you've been defeated, not broken, defeated. They cannot break the original man, cannot do it. See? But you've been defeated. You're under their control. And now they're in the process of your elimination. They've sucked your blood for 464 years, sucked you dry. Now you're anemic. You have no use for them, no more use for them. And now it's time to be rid of you. And most of you are so anemic, you have no strength to resist them at all, none whatsoever. You have no knowledge of history, no knowledge of who you are, what your potential is, your place in the universe. Totally lack of knowledge. That's why the God said you will not return to have a thorough knowledge of yourself. Because once you have a thorough knowledge of yourself, return is guaranteed. Because having thorough knowledge of self means you've become the God and Goddess with full power that no one can resist. You're operating on 10% of your brain right now, the analytical side. 90% is lying dormant. You're trying to be like them, trying to act like them, you cannot do it. Because they're operating on 90% of their brain power, analytical. And you're only operating on 10% of yours. How can you win in that situation? They've turned off your creative ability to the extent that you cannot use it. They use it for their purposes, but you do not use it for your purpose. You don't even know it exists. And it's my job to turn that creative power back on. That's the angel. Angel designed for your mind. It's like in software. You have certain software designed for Apple and some software designed for PCs. And so if you're a PC, they got Apple running on as your operating system, which is not going to work. You upload the software, the operating system for that. And your operating system is the angel. The angel is your operating system, brothers and sisters. That's your operating system. The unsealed Bible, that's their operating system. And they use all the capabilities, all the options. And that's what have you running and you only had the capability of accessing 10% of those options. Because 90% of your so-called RAM, right, your memory, is turned off, not being used. So we're going to talk about that. The master plan. As I said, the angel reveals everything. There's so much I could tell you, brothers and sisters. It's just so much. But I'm one person. I try to tell you as much as I can. As often as I can. I've been somewhat distracted, but now I'm going full force. I have brothers and sisters that are working to assist me. So hopefully now I can focus 100% on getting this message to you. Because it says you will not return to thorough knowledge of yourself. Well, who's going to give you thorough knowledge? Elijah Muhammad give you thorough knowledge? Well, you're still here. Because if you had thorough knowledge of yourself, you wouldn't be here no longer. You're still here. The message of black men give you thorough knowledge of yourself? Did it? Elijah Muhammad never claimed that. That's these liars, these scriptees, and this the scriptees and time makers trying to tell you. If it is, then why are you still in captivity? If you have a thorough knowledge of yourself right now, or if they have thorough knowledge of themselves, they saying, right, how come they still in captivity? So, well, you in captivity, I'm here, I don't have to be. As it said, the lamb was sacrificed to save you. That's the promise. A promise was made by your forefather, your patriarch, Abraham, was made to him, known as Dr. Shabazz. 50,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago, a covenant was made, a word was given. That word was notified and certified, notarized and certified by the God himself and witnessed by your patriarch Abraham. 50,000 years ago, sealed down with 7 unbreakable seals and put in storage for special delivery. At this time, be delivered. At this time, in fulfillment of that agreement, your return to power. Special arrangements have been made. Everything's been planned for, because they have a plan and we have a plan. But they are aware of Master Prophet Muhammad's plan. They're aware of our plan because we've told them it's right there in the scriptures. They don't have a complete understanding of it, but they have understanding of it enough. To make sure this message never gets delivered. That's the AL-INJIL. AL-INJIL was certified, notarized, sealed up with 7 unbreakable seals, put in storage to be delivered at this point in time. Someone who would make the sacrifice had the strength and the wisdom to break those seals and open its contents. Your mind to be restored. As it said in Mark, your mind was, in the book of Mark about the demons, your mind was taken away from you. It was taken away. The Creator was separated from His creation. The Creator was separated from His creation. And that came in full effect in 35,000 years ago with the establishment of religion. That's in part was to execute this plan at the end. So you would not be thinking mathematically. So you would not be using your spatial brain, your spatial mind. You're writing off at 10%. See? So you'd be in darkness, mysticism, belief matrix. So you wouldn't see it coming. It says they would come as a snare. But the power of Satan, they said, do not underestimate the power of Satan because it's very powerful. He's got you in a grip. He's preventing you from even having knowledge of the angel. Forget about uploading it. So Master Muhammad is there to assist you, to assist this effort, to break their grip on you, so then you can upload the angel and take your proper place as the head of the nations as opposed to being the tail of the nations. Connecting the Creator back up with His creation. We've been separated from each other. That's blocking our minds. We're all one mind. We're all components of one mind. That's what Allah is. We're all components of one mind, but they're blocking it. Because once we're connected again, that's how we have the power to tune in. Because all our minds are connected. We're one body. I keep mentioning that. We're one body, and they're keeping us separated. So therefore, that's why we're not able to tune in with one another. We are Allah. We are it says Allah is He who comprehends all vision. Comprehends all vision means all vision is His. That means we all are Him. We all have vision, right? He comprehends all vision. But vision comprehends not. That means one person can comprehend the whole thing, but we, all of it together, right? We comprehend the whole thing, but no person, one individual can comprehend all of it. But Allah encompasses all of our. So it's like one gigantic mind that's driven by a supreme being. Who is that supreme being? That's the supreme one amongst us. Nowadays, that's Master Farad Muhammad. He's driving the affair. But it's one mind. In modern day type terminology, is like a cloud. See? All our minds are connected. And as long as any of us are alive, that cloud still exists. So all our memories, everything, are not lost. We're just not conscious of it. That's the only difference. Once we're conscious of it again, that's how we're able to tune in with each other. So we have access to all our minds. Do you have any idea how powerful that is? The whole learning experience will be totally different. Because some of us are brain cells, some of us are eye cells, some of us are nose cells, whatever. So you can tap into another person's mind and learn all you need to learn about any particular subject. It's already there. It's like downloading it. Whole learning experience will be totally different. So you have access to all of that wisdom, all that power. Right now, we basically don't know anything, according to, relative to our natural power. It was all our minds together that created everything you see out there. Not one individual. The power of all our minds working together as one, and we in contact. We connected with everyone, all of our minds together. That's our step into immortality. Because all your memories, everything is stored across everybody's minds. Everybody's aware of you and you're aware of everyone else. So when you decide you want to expire and upgrade, all that information is still there. And just like when a cell dies in your body now, it's replaced with an identical cell, just upgraded. That's the same process. You just come back into existence through the womb again, upgraded, with all your memories and consciousness still in the cloud, still amongst all of us. So dying would be like going to sleep for us, and waking up restored, upgraded. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. They're trying to stop all of that. That's what's at stake. They're lying to you about everything. Every time they open their mouth, they're lying. They have not told you the truth about anything. Only truth ever heard in the last 100 years was from Master Prophet Muhammad and Elijah Muhammad. You have never heard the truth from anyone else, especially lying Farrakhan. They're lying to you about everything. I'm going to show you that. I'll make it clear to you as possible. You're immortal. That's what's at stake. Unless they want us to have unity. Because once unity, we restore, our mind is restored, and that's the end of them. So let's walk into this, let's walk through and see what we can come up with here. The master plan. The master plan. This plan began 50,000 years ago. It's just coming to full focus now. See? When we was driven out of our land back into Lower Africa, because Arabia is Upper Africa, based on the terminology of today, because Africa is really not called Africa, but those who understand is Africa, but Arabia is just Northern Africa. It was driven out. Once the covenant was made, Dr. Shabazz took his tribe down into Lower Africa to prepare for this day. So you have two other tribes, the Hindi tribe and the tribe of Levites. Hindi tribe is what we refer to now as like India, Hindus, and Levites is referred to as Africa, the continent of Africa, what is known as the continent of Africa. Those were the two tribes, and in the middle was us, Dr. Shabazz, which is called the tribe of Israel, the true tribe of Israel. So they drove us out because they always had their eyes. The tribe of Hindu always had their eye on the possessions of the tribe of Shabazz. They always wanted to be a top tribe. But the tribe of Levites also, they had ambitions also. See? Well, it was the tribe of the Hindus that made the first move. Because that's the Ishmael, right? His mother came out of the tribe of Hindu. But he's our brother, half-brother, the older half-brother. But the inheritance went to us because we're Abraham's seed through Sarah, his lawful wife. Ishmael's mother was a servant from the tribe of Hindu. See? And after driving us out, they start infiltrating into Arabia. And that's where Prophet Muhammad found them. When he came on the scene, they had infiltrated, taken over Arabia. They don't tell you the truth about it. Well, it was the Hindus that run it. They was worshiping Hinduism, Buddhism. Master Muhammad referred to as Buddhism. That was the name of the religion, but the tribe was a Hindu tribe. See? And the one that started the first religion was named Dr. Buddha. I call it Buddhism. You understand? So they had infiltrated and pretty much taken over Arabia. Well, they had taken over. And Prophet Muhammad had to throw them out, kick them out. He wasn't 100% successful, but he was able to kick most of them out and clean up Arabia of most of that false religion. He couldn't clean it all up. We're going to talk about that because Sunnism, right, is Hinduism. That's not Islam. It's not Islam. We're going to talk about that. They don't want you to know that. It's not Islam. The master plan. Look at this master plan. To walk through it step by step. Now this plan's been going on for, like I said, began its origin 50,000 years ago. Right? Had different stages. We're going to talk about where it is starting about 600 years ago. We're going to take it from that point where it's coming into fulfillment, coming into focus. Now what you see here is a sealed Bible revealed by Prophet Isa ibn Miriam approximately 2,000 years ago. See? That's the so-called New Testament version. Even though some people, when you really understand it, well, no, that's just to confuse you. I'll leave it like that. But the thing is that that's the sealed version, and that was in control. It took down the Roman Empire for about 500 years until Prophet Muhammad came on the scene and put a halt to it for 1,000 years. This is Adam being put to sleep for 1,000 years. See? So that's the sealed Bible. Within the sealed Bible is a sealed Bible. It's right there. It tells you, the angel Revelation says it's sealed. It's telling you it's sealed right there. It's inside the Bible, but it's telling you it's sealed. So if the whole Bible was sealed, it wouldn't tell you Revelation is sealed if the whole Bible is sealed, right? So it's the sealed portion. That means what it's saying is that the rest of the regular Bible is not sealed, right? But it's sealed. So it means telling you it's two types of books. It's telling you the other Bible is unveiled, it is. But what it's trying to tell you is there's two conditions of this book. One's a sealed condition and one's an unsealed condition. That's why it says, well, this part is sealed. It's a little more complicated than that, but I'm giving you the simple version. So here's the this sealed version, right? This is Christianity. See? The Pope, well, this is not Christianity. Pardon me. This is Catholicism. Christianity, Catholicism, two different things. Catholicism was run by the Pope for 500 years. Christianity came about 500 years ago. See? Master plan. So, okay. Before I go, let me say this. See, when that book came on the scene, that's when the master plan started really engaged, because that's when the big lie began. The big one. I mean, they've been lying all the time. It's a big one, because what they were saying they were saying that they're saying this now. They weren't saying this back then. They're saying it now. But they go back and try and translate what was happening back there. They say, well, what we know as false Israel right now, they're saying they were the true seed of Abraham, which Jesus knocked down. He said, no, your father is the devil. Because they said, we never been enslaved by anybody. So the truth is right, there's enough truth right there to sell this argument. I can stop talking right there. Because they said it, and Jesus agreed that they were not the true seed of Abraham. Because he said they weren't, and they said, we have never been in bondage to anybody. So there's X is flown out the window, because they try to tell you X was in the past, and they telling you if X was in the past, remember X was supposed to take place 4,000 years ago, but we talking to people 2,000 years ago. That means 4,000 years ago is more in the past than 2,000 years ago. But they saying that never happened. So they tell you X has never happened in the past. That's right there. But you operate 10% of your brain analytical side, so you're not gonna pay attention to this. See, we got to snap you out of it. At any rate, this big lie that we get ready to deal with. This final master plan has roots, because now they're saying that false Israel, true seed Abraham, and that they lost. They talk about the Abrahamic covenant, that they lost. That covenant was dissolved, abrogated, because their failure to listen to believe in who they claim was Suleiman back there, Jesus. And so the covenant was abrogated and given to the Europeans, which is a total lie, but that's what they're pointing back to. That's not what they thought about back then. That's what they point to now. They're pointing back to that. And I said the whole lie is right there, because Jesus said, no, well, you ain't. So he said, that's a lie. He's saying it's a lie right there. He said, you're not. He said, your father's a devil. He called them devils. He said, no, that's a lie. He's pointing out as a lie. Then later on, they throw a little bit in there. Well, and then Jesus said, well, I know you will see Abraham. He just said you weren't, and then they had to add that in there. That's one of the little things they add in there. That's why you want an angel, you know, where they're lying, they're not lying. That's one little thing they add in there, because how you going to tell you, he'll tell them in their face, no, you're not true seed Abraham, your father's the devil, right? You're not seed Abraham. And then later he's going, yeah, well, I know you. So in other words, he called himself a liar? That's so obvious. At any rate, that's where the big lie that we're going to talk about has roots right there. Because now they're establishing false Israel as being Israel, but the covenant is taken from them. So now Europeans, there's a spiritual seed of Abraham. So now they inherit everything. Everything belongs to them. Everything. I mean, the whole universe. Everything belongs to them, the whole planet. Okay? Just follow this carefully. Okay, we're here. Oops. And then, let me make sure here. Okay, that's right. And then, after 1,000 years, Prophet Muhammad came on the scene, and then after 1,000 years, after darkness, the so-called Dark Ages, right, the Middle Ages, came out what we call Christianity today, and Gog and Magog. That's in chapter 20. Because remember, there's a 1,000-year period that was in Dark Ages. 1,000-year period that was in Abyss. That wasn't part of their plan, so that's what I'm talking about here. That was not part of their plan. See, Prophet Muhammad interrupted their plan for 1,000 years. So when they come out, right, they come out with a new form. See, a new unsealed Bible. They call it Christianity. And Gog and Magog, American Britain, Adam and Eve. See, it's 500 years ago, probably 500 years ago. See, there's only way to establish their plan. That's chapter 20. Said what they would do. They would deceive the whole world. About what? They got a plan. They would deceive the whole world. Then they would enslave the real true seed of Abraham. Part of their plan, they have to capture us and enslave us. And they had to have the help of Ishmael the Hindu tribe to do it. They was all part of this. And the thing is, they're at this point, they're back in control of Arabia again, because the British set them on the throne. Hindus tend they're Arabs, and that's pretty much the establishment of Sunnism as we know it today. That's not the Islam of Prophet Muhammad. In fact, Prophet Muhammad denounces that Islam, that so-called Islam, in Hadith. He says, I think 7/9 of his ummah would be hell-bound. He would deny them, and they would deny him. They're not Muslim, not being led by Muslims either. They're not Muslim, and not being led by Muslim. They're Hindus, parading as Muslim. See, they're Ishmael. See, Ishmael has been deceived by the Hindu tribe. Like I said, he's Hindu on his maternal side. These are the Arabs. See? So they're associated with the Hindu tribe. So they have actual people from the Hindus, right, running as the House of Saud. They weren't in power at the time of our imprisonment, but the Sunnis were. That's that golden calf. Why they call it the golden calf? I explained that in the Angel, right? But remember, Hindu tribe is the calf that they worshipped. And they was worshiping the golden calf, which is Sunnism. That's what the golden calf is. We proved that in the Angel. That's the golden calf. So I'm going to take a short break here, brothers and sisters. Bear with me for a second. That's what the golden calf is all about. See? That Sunnism is the golden calf. All they work together because they're the one that betrayed us. They're working together. See? They're working together. It's all one big conspiracy. All the nations was gathered together on this. And they knew the actual plan, Abraham covenant better than anyone. See? Because they was party to it. They were the other son of Abraham, but the covenant would go to his youngest son, Isaac. But they're party to this whole thing. Because they do not want us to take back our inheritance, because they have control of our land at this point in time. And second, ask yourself a couple of questions. If you are true, right, to knowledge, and you have any rational ability left, and you have any understanding of the Quran at all, isn't it clear? Adam and Eve is America and Britain to make Mitzvah shed blood. He said, I will place a ruler in the earth. Who's ruling the earth? Are the Sunnis ruling the earth? Are the Chinese ruling the earth? Are the Indians ruling the earth? Who's ruling the earth? Gog and Magog, the only two world empires that you know ever existed. World empires. I'm not talking about regional empires, a Roman Empire or African Empire or Asian Empire. I'm talking world empires. It's only been two. Gog and Magog for the last 500 years that went into dark ages for 1,000 years. So if that is so clear, so simple, and that's right in the Quran, how come the Sunnis don't acknowledge it? How come they acknowledge that Adam and Eve are America and Britain? That should open your eye right there. Why don't they acknowledge it? Because they would expose themselves in the process. They expose themselves in the process. Because if America and Britain are Adam and Eve, specifically, right, then the thing is that they was told to submit, and they the only ones on the planet not submitting. That means what? They must be the jinn. The jinn not invisible, because you ask who the jinn are right now, they tell you they're invisible. They can't tell who the jinn are. They know who the jinn are, but they admit that America and Britain are Adam and Eve, they're the only culture, so-called culture on the planet that totally resisted. The Chinese don't resist the culture of America, but they want to control it. They want to do it their way, but they're not against it. You go there, they act more like Americans do. In many cases, so do India and all these other places, Africa too. They're adopting the culture and the ideas and the banking system, usury and all that kind of stuff, democracy, all that kind of stuff. They're adopting all that stuff that's coming out of Adam and Eve. Who is not doing it? The Arabs. Even the Shia are doing it. Arabs are not. Only ones on the planet. That means they're the jinn. The jinn not invisible, now they're visible. And they are the jinn. That's why they want to acknowledge it. Oh no, we all of Adam. How in the hell are we all Adam? They first attack both sides of their mouth. It says, well, prophet says we all from Adam. You know, we all Muslim by nature, but it's our parents that corrupt us. Okay, well then square that circle. Because if we're all Muslims by nature, then where in the hell is this Adam and Eve that was made to make mission shed blood? Because if we from them, like you saying, we all from Adam and Eve, then a Muslim must be someone that makes mission shed blood. See, it doesn't add up. That's why they want to admit it. Because then they'll be admitting that they are the jinn. And what does that mean? That means the jinn are visible. And what else does that mean? It means that the angels are visible too. Because who did submit to Adam and Eve? We did. We're under their control. They're abusing us, but we're under their control. We submitted. So that means the angels are visible also. And that means we are the true inheritors. We're true to Abraham because we fit the covenant exactly, tailor-made. That's why they can't admit it. And also that also reveals that they are the ones worshiping the golden calf. It all comes into place, brothers and sisters. This is a master plan that they make sure you never get, that you never understand what I'm telling you right now. See? By putting us down under, right? See, we locked down under Gog and Magog. We not locked down under Catholicism. We locked down under Christianity. And we locked down under Sunnism, Gog and Magog. See? They all stay on top of us. Holding us down. You understand, brothers and sisters? The master plan. That's just part of it. We still got more to go. Because it was the Sunnis that betrayed us. We were Muslim on the northwest coast of what's known as Africa. See? They came and got us. That's where the term Negro comes from. It means black in Spanish. It was the Spanish that did it. They started. Then they set up the demons, lock us down even further. See, it's still our innovative ability, our creative ability, because they had no understanding what we was talking about because they analytical. They tap into our spatial mind. They're bringing this so-called technology that they did not have before they brought us over here. They've been here for 5,500 years. They had no technology, nothing like you see now. So how in the world that after 5,500 years, all of a sudden, boom, they got this big blast of technology right after they bring us over here and start stealing our creativity. Didn't have it before. They tell that story of Joseph. King didn't have a clue. He had to go to Joseph. Joseph had to solve, right, a riddle, which is technology, science. He had to solve for them. They couldn't solve it. They had no clue. He saved their kingdom. And how did they repay Joseph? By enslaving his children, by enslaving his family. That's how we got here. The story is there, brothers and sisters. So now we have the demons, led by a chief demon, right? And he's taken and he's rested on Sunnism. Because he's trying to drive you towards Sunnism, towards the golden calf. That's what said Moses came and the people was worshiping the golden calf. They was worshiping Sunnism. Aaron had them doing it. Farrakhan had them doing it. Because in Sunnism, that's a diversion from the Abrahamic covenant that was signed, sealed, certified 50,000 years ago to be unsealed at this time and revealed. And his purpose is to make sure that never happens. That's Farrakhan's purpose, his demon. They're all working together. They're all working together. It says his work is we have the workings of Satan. They're all working together there. They're all working together. See? This ain't all. We just getting warmed up here. See? Now I got Farrakhan there. I got him a little prematurely. I just point out that, see, he's the chief demon. So he doesn't exist yet at this point in time. Right? That I'm showing here. But the demons do. They start producing demons even before we came here. The whole world is inundated by demons. You go down to south of the border, all the people there are real light. How do you get light skin like that? Get light skin because they brought the Mexican women, Spanish women over here. These was conquistadors. They was all male, and they spread their seed, raping women and everything else. That's how they got light. That means their seed. You go to Guam, that's their seed, their Spanish seed there. Hispanics, almost all of them are Spanish seed. They're Caucasians. They're of Yaqub. They're all demons. No one's suffering the plague worse than us, because we're the target of this whole master plan. Hope you understand. I'm taking my time here, bro and sis. I'm trying to be very clear in my speech. That's the situation. See? So you got the demons, right? You got the golden calf worshippers. That's the Sunnis, right? You got the sealed Bible flock, and then you got the new Christianity. And you got Gog and Magog, who supports. See, it was old, unsealed Bible, old Catholicism that supported Gog and Magog. Now Gog and Magog supports the new Christianity. See? Mixed with science, right? How is it mixed with science? Because it's mixed with us. The old one didn't have us. All they had was technology, but no spatial creativity to fuel it. You can be as technical as possible, but you need blueprints to do something. You need some guidance. You need something to work with. They didn't have that, so they had to go get somebody, some creative power, and that's bringing us over here. That's what it took. Joseph was the creative power behind Egypt. It tells you that he was the creative power behind Egypt. What's the story? A Pharaoh says, "Well, look, you don't give them no more straw anymore. Let them make bricks out of thin air, I guess." I may say that wrong. Bottom line was, they had to be creative now. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They had to still produce, but now they had to be creative because they didn't have the raw materials that he was giving them. So he said, no, now you got to be creative because you still got to produce this. That's what it's telling you. So then, in 1948, right, that's when they really put the foundation on this master plan. See, they had to move fast because they had Elijah Muhammad exposing their plan. So they had to make a diversion. Because remember, they had already said that false Israel had lost the covenant, right? And everything was taken from them and now given to basically Gog and Magog, or the Europeans, because now they're the new seed of spiritual seed of Abraham. But because of the appearance of Master Prophet Muhammad and Elijah Muhammad, right, exposing who the true seed of Abraham was, they had to kick their master plan into high gear. So they had to come and backtrack, right, to where 2,000 years ago when they said the kingdom was taken from false Israel and given to them. They had to backtrack on that one, see, and say, no, well, you know, instead of saying they didn't inherit it, they had the spiritual seed. No, well, they are the seed. They are the seed of Abraham. To nullify our claim, because we had a legitimate claim. 464 years here, we had a legitimate claim. Everything the scripture said, it would fit us tailor-made. So they had to neutralize that. So they set false Israel, Antichrist. See, that's the foundation. That became the foundation. See, before, Gog and Magog was the foundation. See, before that, right? And what was their foundation? Their foundation was Catholicism, right? Because they're the spiritual seed of Abraham. Their foundation was built off Catholicism, which Gog and Magog came out of, and they established their Christianity. But the foundation was still the sealed Bible, right? Catholicism, because they the ones claimed the Pope was now the Pope. He was the one that represented, right, the new covenant that was taken away from false Israel. So they had to backtrack because of Elijah Muhammad and Master Prophet Muhammad. So then they came and said, no, wait, hold it. So they started a new foundation. So they set false Israel. Remember, they was just wiping them out. See, because they had hatred for them. They said they was Christ killers and everything else. And they was in opposition. It was kingdom was taken away from them. The kingdom had taken away from them by God. They would get rid of them. And they was in the process of closing it out. There's a process of actually closing that out, sealing that deal to get rid of all of them. They was in the process of getting rid of all of them. Finally. And then Elijah Muhammad and Master Muhammad, actually, false Israel, they should actually be worshiping at Master Muhammad's feet and Elijah Muhammad's feet, because they saved their ass. Because if it wasn't for them, they would have been all wiped out. They only set them up in order to counter our claim. That's the only reason why they stopped. They stopped on a dime. They was like killing them one day, the next day was kissing their ass, right? Calling it honey. That's how quick it changed overnight. One day it was burning them up, next day they was kissing their ass, calling it honey. Don't take my word for it, just Google it, it's right there. So it started a new foundation. See? And now, this reality now is based off of that lie, that false Israel, the true seed Abraham. Now the spiritual seed Abraham, which God and Magog and Europe claim to be, the Christians, right? They still believe they're spiritual seed Abraham. They still believe that. So this is a convenience for them to do this. See, on their goal to get rid of us. Because they can't have us thinking that we're the true seed Abraham. They cannot have us thinking that. They cannot have us thinking that. That's why I said false Israel. And to make us believe that we are not the true seed Abraham. They're doing everything. They got Farrakhan, so we ain't going nowhere. When he said we ain't going nowhere, he's telling you that an agreement that was made 50,000 years ago that we'll return to our land, that's called the promised land, right? If he said he's saying that agreement is not real. Because that's the whole purpose of the agreement, to go back home. So he's not going anywhere. That means he's saying that agreement is null and void. It's not real. It's not for us. That's the essence of the agreement, the promised land. That's why they killed Martin Luther King, because they told him not to give that speech. He gave him that, killed him the next day. That's the essence of that speech. That's the essence of the covenant, that we're going home to the promised land. But he's saying we ain't going nowhere. So that means that covenant, he said the covenant is no good. It's not a lie. It is a lie. It don't mean anything. You understand that? Is that too complicated for you to understand? He's working for them. He's trying to get your mind off of going back home. They don't want you thinking out of the way. The Sunnis don't want you thinking out of the way. The Christians don't want you thinking out of the way. God and Magog don't want you thinking out of the way. No one wants you thinking that way. The whole idea is to exterminate you, not to have you return and take power again. And that's what the purpose of demons are. So then they set this new foundation now. So now, and that foundation rests on top of us. So now all of them on top of us. Now we got false Jews on top of us in addition to everything else. So we down in the basement. You see? Until they can just crush us out of existence. See? So they stole our identity. So they're the ones, right? See, because that's the distraction. So you don't have any real, the true Abraham thinking about the covenant, because nobody's telling about the covenant. And if the subject comes about a covenant, right? Well, obviously it must be false Israel over there, because they return and everything, because they're not going to look and search, and they get away with that. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. So at this point, this is 1948. False Israel comes on the scene. But also does Suleiman come on the scene, the Christ. Antichrist and the Christ. Both come on the scene at the same time. Both conceived at the same time, 1948. A star would rise in the east, that's false Israel. They rose in the east. That means if you say the star rose in the east, that means you must be in the west to say that. And you got Master from Muhammad looking over the whole affair. There's a time Elijah Muhammad is not shown here, right? But this time he's preaching, he's telling everybody about the Abrahamic covenant. See, those that will listen. See? Farrakhan comes on after him and says, no, we ain't going nowhere, that's a misunderstatement, devils ain't devils anymore, and so forth and so on. See? There you go. That's the situation that we're in right now. They're all working together. Let's talk about this master plan a little more right now. As I said, this plan is really driven by Gog and Magog now. So they would be the ones that come out. They'd be the two world empires, rule the world. And they want to maintain that control. They want all. So they set up false Israel to counter our claim. So that was a little diversion in their plan. They had two diversions. Elijah Muhammad and Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad diverged them for 1,000 years. Elijah Muhammad, we exposed them, so they had to go into recovery mode, right? Defense mode, right? To block that, because they're saying they're the spiritual seed of Abraham, and that means, and we got the proof. That means they're lying too. They're not anything. That means, and they are oppressors. That means they're the devils. Everything Elijah Muhammad said, everything he was saying would be true. If we are true seed of Abraham, everything he was saying about them was true. So they had to go into defense mode, correct mode, right, to correct this, right? See? So it's diversion their plan. But their plan is to take control of everything. And they still don't like false Israel. Don't get it twisted. False Israel is a means to an end for them. To keep us distracted long enough to make an end of us. See, because false Israel, if false Israel exists, that means we're not true seed of Abraham. That means we're not thinking coming together in unity, right? And so only option we have is being here in America. That's the only option we have. If that's the only option you have, right, then you're going to try to be a good American because you want to succeed, right? You're going to give all your energy to their dreams, American dream. And if that's the only option you think you have, that's the only option Farrakhan telling you have, because they said we ain't going anywhere. You understand what's going on here? They want you focused on working on their vision and not ever get connected with your vision, Abrahamic covenant. Don't ever. It says people without a vision are perish. They never want you connected up with your vision. So they sent a false vision, a counter vision, false Israel. So if you happen to look, say, oh, well, they must be them, so you don't even think about they're you. And all the preachers have already been told. They've been warned. They sent a message when they killed Martin Luther King that if you same thing happened to you if you get to talk about some promised land. So they don't talk about it. Why? I just told you. They won't talk about it. No one talks about it. Only one talking about it is myself. No one's talking about, or they might talk about Abraham covenant, but they don't go, they stop at the point where we're going somewhere. Farrakhan, definitely, he just definitely stopped at that point. He's a demon. He's worked with Massa. See, but Massa wants to get rid of them too. And Massa wants to get rid of false Israel too. He don't want any competition. He wants to get rid of all of it. But they're means to an end. He can use them for a purpose. That's the master plan. So he had to go into, it's a versionary plan. See, because Elijah Muhammad. So okay, they established false Israel only as long, right, as we exist, and they can use them for that purpose, as long as they keep us distracted. When as long as no longer need to distract us anymore, they're going to get rid of them too. They'll get rid of them too. They don't want them no more than they did before. They are a means to an end. And then they get rid of demons too. They don't want them either. But they're a means to an end. Both of them are there to distract us, to keep us confused and working against ourselves. See? Self-imposed energy deprivation. That's their purpose. Got distracted with false religion. See? We work hard for Master here because we don't get anything until after we die. And if we don't work hard for Master here, then we're going to meet with Master in the sky, the Caucasian Jesus, who will burn us forever if he finds out that we didn't work hard for Master here on the ground, on this earth. They got you going, brothers and sisters. It's all one big lie. The master plan. And all the time, Master Muhammad's watching. He's watching. But all these against us. As soon as the golden calf worshippers, Farrakhan, right? He's worshiping golden calf also. See? God can make our false religion. False Israel stole our identity. I ain't talking about the other nation. I'm just talking about these. That's the master plan. See? Because the end, only thing that's supposed to be left behind at the end, see, is Gog and Magog. This master plan also includes the golden calf worshippers, Saudi. See, because they want how they going to get rid of them. They're going to use false Israel to get rid of them, because they have to go along with this plan. See, that, like I said, that was like a diversion and everything. So at the point that false Israel came along, because remember before they were saying, oh no, false Israel, they, those people, they not. They call them a Satan. The Jews, we can't, they don't have nothing to do with them. Remember, they was hating them, and God said you can't be friends with them and all that kind of stuff. They have a different idea now, don't they? See, so they was against them until Elijah Muhammad started pointing out that we're true to Abraham and we're the real Muslims. Oh, then that changed, because they would not have been able to establish false Israel if those Arabs, those Sunnis, had really wanted to stop them. These people had standing armies all around there, storming professional trained armies with tanks and guns and all kinds of weapons and air forces. They had all that. And false Israel had nothing. I don't even think they had even 1 million people there at the time. They had nothing. So how in the hell did they tell me that was a miracle? It wasn't a miracle, because the leaders didn't want to defeat them, but they had to go to make an attempt to look like they wanted to do it, because they've been telling the public, the people in the street, that you can't, what the Quran says, you can't trust the Jews, the evil and all this kind of stuff, and you can't make friends with them, right? And such and such and such. And the man, that's what they were, and the people on the street, that's what they was looking for. And so they said, hey man, well, you got to get rid of them. They can't be there. So the leaders said, okay, yeah. Well, they knew they was under pressure. So they pretended they was trying to get rid of them. They could have wiped them out easily. They didn't. Because to wipe them out, after what Elijah Muhammad said, means we the true seed of Abraham. That means they're not inheriting that throne. They're liars, right? They're golden calf worshippers, right? He's exposing them, because he didn't even want them to come to his temples. If you understand that, he's exposing them as us being the true inheritors, as the true seed of Abraham. They didn't want that. So they didn't want to get rid of false, because they did. That means that would be exposed that they weren't who they claimed to be. So they didn't want that. So therefore, they wanted false Israel to be established. So they can say, it's not them, it's not us, it's them. They're the true seed of Abraham. That's what they wanted. They could eradicate them easily if they wanted to. That's a big lie. They say, oh, well, they defeat all these people like some kind of miracle. No, that's BS. See? But Gog and Magog, that's what they want. Because they know, see, because false Israel, remember, their charter is to take over all the Middle East, because that's what, if they return, all that's supposed to be theirs. So Gog and Magog is using them, false Israel, to wipe out all of the Sunnis and all of them. See? Because that's their objective. That's why they're in Syria, right? And all these other places they overbombing, Lebanon and everything else, because that's their objective, to take over all of it. And they wouldn't be able to do it without America's backing. So if they were so powerful back there to wipe out all these armies, why need America's backing now? Why need it now? Because they know they cannot defeat all those armies. They know they can't do it. They couldn't do it back then, they can't do it now. You understand the master plan? So, but the big problem here is the Shia. Because they know the truth. They know the falsehood was false. They know as soon as they're worshiping the golden calf. They ain't going to tell you all this. They know this. So therefore, they're resisting false Israel. And they're the only ones that's keeping false Israel from mopping up the Middle East, rolling up all those Arab countries, rolling up Iraq, rolling up Arabia, rolling up Yemen, rolling up Syria, rolling up Lebanon. That's the only thing preventing them. Right now, but with America's backing, they can roll them all up. Who's going to stop them? Because Arab countries right now, right, they're in a box. They can't go full blast on false Israel because that caused the problem they're trying to prevent. Because if they wipe them out, then that means we the true Abraham. Then they got a bigger problem they had before. But if they don't resist them, you see what's happening over there right now because they're gradually taking their land up and destabilizing the whole region. So they end up being between a proverbial rock and a hard place. Very confusing, isn't it? That's the master plan. See? So the idea is to take out Iran and then back up false Israel. God can make our back up to take all of Arabia. Because that's what it says. If they're the true Abraham, all that belongs to them. So once they do all that, now they got rid of all them. Now they got rid of the Sunni. They got rid of the Shia. They got rid of all the Muslims, so to speak. See? Any claimers, right, to the seed of Abraham. Only one left now is false Israel. They didn't control. They control it all now. See? And then that's it. They got them out the way, right? At the same time, they take us out here. Because now the false Israel have all control of everything, right? Obviously, we couldn't possibly eradicate us. And then the only contender they have left then is false Israel. And remember, they hated them because they said they must, because if they allowed them to stay there after they're taking over everything, that's a proof that they must be a true Abraham and that the covenant wasn't eradicated, wasn't abrogated, and it wasn't turned over to the Europeans as a spiritual Abraham, right? Because that's a big rock in their shoe. So now they got them to get rid of them now. That's the whole purpose. Let them take out everybody else and then get rid of them. Then there's no contenders. The only one left is them. Gog and Magog, right? And they're the spiritual seed of Abraham. Everything's fulfilled. That's the master plan. See? And like the Arabs, they're going along with it. They're not going with that result. They're going along with this false Israel thing because, right? Because they're in a rock hot place. If they get rid of them, that means that we got the best claim. That means all that belongs to us. If they keep them there, right, then they're going to eventually take all their land from them. See, that's the needle they try to thread. But Master Muhammad goes in the year before they was able to complete that plan. See, with the Shia, he goes into motion. That's what's about to happen. That's what's about to happen. See. Because right now you see all of them working together against the Shia. See, you see the Arabs, they're working with false Israel. They've been exposed. They exposed themselves. They're working with false Israel. And it said you cannot take them for friends, but so-called Abrahamic, of course, they put Abraham's name on it. And now they work. Now they're working with the infidel, so to speak, against another Muslim. Why? Why would they work with infidels? The Quran tells them that you cannot take the Jews and Christians for friends, yet they're taking friends against other Muslims. That's total. I mean, see, it's really exposing themselves. It's getting so desperate that they have to go against a clear statements in the Quran. The Quran says, if you are taking Christian Jews and friends, you're one of them. That means you're not even Muslim. And now they're exposing themselves. That's exactly what they're doing. Because they're desperate. They're in a rock and a hard place to take out Iran, but they don't realize if they help force Israel to take out Iran, then there's nothing to stop force Israel rolling them up. Because that's their agenda. Their agenda is to take over the Middle East. But God made God's agenda take over everything. So once they take over the Middle East, now all they got to do is take them out. See? And they say hands are clean. We didn't kill all the Muslims. False Israel did it. So now we taking them out because they look at it. They genocide to kill all these Muslims over there. They wiped them out, took everything from them, right? So now, right? Can you imagine the UN? Yeah, man, they went beyond what they're supposed to do. Because all of a sudden America's not with false Israel anymore, not supporting them anymore. They went far beyond what they're supposed to do. They genocided to kill all the Muslims and Arabs and everything in the Middle East. They wiped them out, took their land and everything else. Not imagine what they did over here, right? So now we got to get rid of them. See? So it looked like America had nothing to do with killing all the Muslims, all that stuff over there, right? Because the Jews did it. False Israel did it. See? So now we're taking them out because they're so evil, because they did all this evil stuff to the Muslims. That's the master plan. So they come out clean, hands clean all the way around. See? And taking us out, that was not a problem spiritually, right? Because we was pretending. Remember those who say they're Jews or not, right? The synagogue of Satan. So we evil. We was cursed by him. So getting rid of us, that was a righteous thing to do. Because we was evil anyway. And we just problematic and all the other stuff. I'm not going into all the details over here. But look all the stuff was going right. Look all the problems they was causing over here. And then they was talking about they was the seed of Abraham and all the stuff they was doing, right? Especially when they start trying to organize. That's the master plan, brothers and sisters. But Master Muhammad's on the case. Takes out false Israel. It knocks out the foundation. That's the foundation of this whole plan they have. That's the one they set in motion in 1948. They made false Israel the foundation of this reality. That's what all this is sitting on. That foundation. We're under the foundation. See, we're down in the basement. But that whole thing was based on that foundation. Once you take it out, there's nothing supported anymore. Nothing support this whole idea, this lie, this big lie. Nothing supported anymore. Master Muhammad takes it out with the shield, takes it out. Right at the core, right at the root. That's what he said he would do. So that's what he's done. That's what he's about to do. When he does that, there's nothing for them to rest on anymore. Remember, they was all the best in that foundation. That's the foundation of it. Bam, but all house come crumbling down. Come crumbling down. And falls Israel's on fire. Then burnt up. All the rest comes crumbling down. Sunnis, demons, church, all of it comes coming down, come fall down. Christianity, Catholicism, all of it comes coming down. And that means Master Muhammad and the Shia united, right? With Suleiman and with his elect and with the NOI. In this case, right, we're just saying a seed of Abraham. The true seed. So they have a plan and we have a plan. See, that was their master plan. I told you all the players that was part of it. I left out a couple that's really not significant at this point, right? But that's the one. I left out Lucifer, right? But he kind of kicks in. But right now, those are the primaries. Those are the primaries, brothers and sisters. This was about to happen. I try to explain to you what their plan is. Try to show that everybody fits into it. Hope you understand. I think that's it. Yep, that's it. Hold on, brothers and sisters. Okay, brothers and sisters, that ends this session of War Talk. We are at war. We've been at war specifically for the last almost nearly 500 years. And this plan I'm talking about started kicking in at that point in time. I took it from that point in time. Their plan is our destruction. Total destruction. Total. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. See? But you're going to wake up in a minute, because when Master Muhammad takes out that opposing master gear, that's what's got you God. That's what got you. That's what got you. It's got you controlling, because it's controlling the 10% of your analytical mind that you're using. It's got you. You're in a trance. You're in a belief matrix. And when they snap that, knock it down, that grip will break. And when it does, right, your spatial mind will kick in, and it's all over at that point. Kick in. But it's no good if you have, like you have a powerful computer, but you need a powerful operating system. Well, it's no good, just a computer set and the operating system. And you need the AL-INJIL. That's the operating system that's been prepared, certified, notarized, sealed down tight with 7 seals, stored to be revealed. The seal is broken by one who loves you, who made enormous sacrifices to break those seals to get it to you, right? So when that time comes, right, you will not be vacant, right? When your mind, your spatial mind kick in, you have the software to run on it. Be right, available for you immediately. The AL-INJIL. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm going to leave it there. Assalamu alaikum.